Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Side Hustle Dreams. So in my previous video, it was supposed to be a longer video, but I decided to split it into two parts. That video was talking about the white books and just going more in depth with those, talking about my process of buying them and then selling them and all the in-betweens with that. And in this video, I wanted to go more in depth about my process when it comes to sourcing items, navigating auction sites, listing items on eBay, strategies that I use for pricing, sort of things like that. So stay tuned for some helpful tips that can hopefully get you started in your own side hustle ventures. So this section is all about the ins and outs of buying for reselling from my own personal experiences. So what I found beneficial when it comes to finding items to sell is what I like to call the Google to eBay method. Or screenshot to Google to eBay method, depending on the item. But what that essentially means is I will look for an item on John Pye, for example. I might look for tablets, and then depending on the amount that I'm trying to spend, so the maximum amount that I want to spend, and the item that I'm looking for, I'll then use the filters on the side. So I'll have a sort of a step-by-step on the screen, so you can sort of see everything that I'm doing, if you was to use John Pye yourself. So then I'll then sort them from the most expensive down, so I can see the most expensive item first, and then sort of get a range to sort of say, okay, if I'm spending a maximum of £50, then the top item at the moment is at £200, and maybe it's got 2 hours left or something like that. Then start going down, start getting an idea of the stuff being sold and how much they're being sold for. Now for more pricey items or electronic items like tablets, laptops, computers, TVs, those kind of things. So I would recommend going to the auction, like if you're able to, and viewing the item, just because sometimes the pictures don't always do it justice and it might not always tell the full story. I have had a situation before where I've bought, it was a monitor, so a computer monitor, and then from the pictures it didn't really show that the item was fully working or anything like that, and like it didn't really show it turning on or anything, but I sort of like it wasn't too expensive, and I thought, let me just take a chance and see. So I bought the item, and when it came, it didn't really work. It came on, or rather it turned on, but that was about all that it could do. The remote didn't work, the buttons on the TV didn't work apart from the on and off button for some reason, and even when it came on there was no picture on the screen or anything, so it was just like it just didn't work, and I didn't have the skills to get that fixed. And also because I didn't really pay too much for it, I didn't really want to go and start getting it fixed anyway, as it wasn't really that expensive of a monitor anyway. Even to buy one new wasn't too pricey, so it was just a gamble that I took. But it's still sort of those type of things where it's like, if you want to get something more expensive with the chance of being able to sell it, then you'd want to make sure that you are going to view these things. Granted, it is not always easy to go to auction sites, like as I usually don't really go to them anyway. So as I mentioned in my previous video, I don't currently have a driving license, and so I can't so easily get to auction sites or physical auction sites, so I have to do a lot of them online. But this would be something that I want to do in the future in terms of going to physical auction sites, as I know it can be quite fun. And also I just want to just be one of those people like the pallet things, and then just be like, you put my hand up, that kind of thing, for the prices. So I do feel like it could be quite funny to go to a physical auction site and do that, because you don't really get the full experience with the online auction sites. But because this, however, you have to become more observant with the things that you're looking at when you're looking at online auction sites. So you have to learn what to look out for, and you have to ensure that the items that you're getting matches your specifications of what you want. So sometimes people, they do want to buy broken items because they can fix them themselves, or because they know someone who can. That's absolutely fine. But if you want to buy something working or something in good condition, you got to make sure that you are looking out for certain things, which you learn over time anyway, and which I can talk about in other videos if that's something that other people might be interested in. So going on from my earlier point about the Google to eBay method, so once I've searched for the tablets on John Pye and filtered them to show the most expensive at the top, I would then look for ones that have pictures of them being turned on, so preferably showing something happening on the screen of the item, like a video playing, or even just pictures or whatever, just so long as I can see that it's turned on, and that's the main thing. These ones I know usually have a higher chance of working, not all the time, but usually. and potentially they'll be in good condition because of this as well. So from there, I would then copy and paste the name of the item. Or if the listing doesn't show the name, so sometimes they won't fully show the name of the item, or sometimes it can be difficult to sort of figure out, especially if there's more than one item on screen. It might not show all of them. So what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of the item, and then using my phone or tablet or laptop or whatever, I'll then do like a reverse image search of the item and just try and check what it is, making sure that I get the exact model or make of the item. Because when it comes to tablets or laptops, phones, all that kind of stuff, you can have similar model but different makes, like the iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Pro, that kind of stuff. So once I have like an exact item, either through the Google search or through the reverse image searching, whichever, but once I know that I've got the exact item, the exact model, exact make, everything, then I would then search up the item on your Google to find the manufacturer's website or the retailer's website. So for example, if it's a Samsung tablet, then I'll check Samsung's website to find out the full retail price of the item. Or I'll check Amazon, as people usually put items on there for either close to retail price anyway, especially when it comes to electronics. So once I have the full retail price, I'll then check for the item on eBay or on Facebook Marketplace or places like that, places where you'd find discounted prices of the item, to see what the consensus of a markdown price for the item is. So I'll usually use eBay for that. After that, I will then find a middle ground with the pricing, and then so this would be the pricing on eBay. So I would look at sort of the most expensive that people are selling it at, and then the least expensive that people are selling it at while it's still working, and then sort of just find a middle ground between those. I'll then take a small percentage off of that middle ground amount, and then I'll say, okay, then so this is maybe about the amount that I can sell the item for, depending on the quality of the item once I get it and everything else. But because I've got that range, I can say if it's good quality, maybe sell it for a little bit more. If it's not the best quality but still works, maybe sell it for a little bit less. But that's why you sort of get that range, just so you have an idea. Another important trick that I learned from a YouTube channel called 3.7 Million, who makes really good content on side hustles and has some good tips, so I'd highly recommend checking them out, is to filter for completed items and sold items on eBay for the item that you're thinking of reselling. So by filtering for these items, you can see exactly whether there is interest in those items, for one, so whether they have been sold recently, and if there is, when was the item last sold, how frequently are they sold, and for how much are they usually sold for. And the main reason for this, and this bit is really important, is that the listing price that people put on eBay is usually not indicative of what the actual sale price will be, as people usually list an item at a higher price on eBay so that they can negotiate down if need be and all that kind of thing. So because when you see an item listed and then when you see it's been sold, unless you check the actual sale price, because sometimes you see it sort of like with a cross through on like the amount, so it might be like, oh, this sale, like it was on, they were listed for £50, but when you click on the item that's been sold, it will say 50 but then cross through. Usually that means that it's been sold for less. Sometimes it could be sold more, but usually it's sold for less. So you need to find out, or at least get an idea of what the actual sale price was, so that you know that this £50 item usually only sells for £40. People put it at £50 and you're thinking you can sell yours for £50, not realizing people only sell it for 40. So it's just getting the accurate representation of how much the items are usually sold for, rather than what they're listed for. So like a distinction. As you can see, it's quite an involved process, but I feel like these steps are important, and as you'll start doing them yourself, like you'll start learning things that work for you. But I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about these kind of things, at least the intricacies of it anyway. So I feel like it's important to just have it out there so that you've got something to come back to that can help you out in the future. So once I've done all of the above steps, I'll then go back to the listing on Jump High, and then I'll check the tablet again. I would see what the current bid price for the item is, how long is left, so whether it's an hour, 2 hours, maybe a day or 2 days, and then work out what my maximum amount is that I'm willing to spend. And then this is another important point, and I'll do a short summary at the end as well, just going over all of the important points just so you've got it in bullet point format if you wanted to take it down or anything. Again, just to emphasize, however, that I'm in no way saying that this is the perfect way to do it and that this will, always get your results. This is just something that I've learned after doing this after doing this since April of this year, May of this year, and then sort of doing this like on and off, and then practicing and learning and everything else. So this might be able to help you, but again, it's not 100% guaranteed. It's just use it as a guide, just to sort of give yourself some jumping off points so you can see, okay, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that, and then maybe things might work out, maybe you have to change things, find your own way to figure out what works for you. But you can just use this as pointers and tips. So back to the important bit, you want to make sure that you have an idea of what the maximum amount is that you're willing to spend on an item. And you have to do your best to make sure that you don't go over that amount, or if you do, by not too much. And then this is where all of the work that we've done up to this point now comes into play. So we can do a quick hypothetical run. So let's say you found the tablet on JumpHigh that had a current bid price of about £20. You saw that there's like 1 hour left on the bidding, and so you don't think that it will go up much higher than £30. The pictures do the tablet justice. You can see that it works. It says that it's in good condition, and it comes with accessories too. Usually when an item comes with accessories, not all the time again, but usually it means that the item might be in good condition, especially if it turns on and it's also got accessories. Usually that means that it's in a decent condition because it's coming with all of its original stuff. You would then check for the tablet on Google, and so you then do all of your pricing checks. So you check with the retailer on Google, and you also check with eBay as well. Do your middle ground pricing check and everything. So from there you find out that its actual retail price is around £150. That's completely new from the retailer. But you find that people are selling it on eBay from around £120 down to around £100 depending on the quality. So you summarize that you could potentially sell the item for around £100 just from the pictures, just from your idea of what the quality of the item might be, with the lowest still being around £90, so you'll be able to still make profit. So you then go back onto JumpHigh, and this is more so a point for JumpHigh and for selling. And this next bit is more so a point for buying things on JumpHigh. I can't attest for the other auction sites, but this is mainly for JumpHigh. So you go back onto JumpHigh and then check the maximum amount you would spend on a £30 bid. So you work out it will come to be around £55. That's including VAT, postage and shipping, because usually how it works on JumpHigh is that they'll have a premium, the buyer's premium at about 25% that you have to pay, as well as VAT, and then also postage and shipping as well, which depending on item usually is around £10. Heavy items goes up for more on postage and shipping, but usually around £10 if you're not going to collect it. So when you work out all of that, you realize that £30 might be the bid amount, but that's not what you're going to be paying. You'll be paying, maybe £55, £60 instead. So that's why you want to get that maximum amount, but then you also want to work out, okay, full price, how much am I paying for everything? So then that gives you the lowest amount of, so when you look at the numbers, you realize that at the lowest amount of resale, the profit that you could make is around £35. So if you sold it for £90, if you paid £55 for the bid, buyer's premium, VAT, and also the postage and shipping, then you'll make £35 from eBay. That's not sort of factored in also postage and shipping, but you can recoup that from eBay, and now it's free to sell on eBay anyway, so which means that you don't really have to pay anything to eBay either. I think there's still that 30p charge, but I think that's about it really. There's not really much else that eBay takes from you anymore now. So there you go. So you probably make £35 profit. So the important part here is knowing the maximum bid you'll put. So remember, because you're buying from an auction site, and if you cannot go out to inspect the item yourself, you have to go off of the pictures, and so you do not want to bid too high in case the item comes and it's not to the quality that you was thinking, and because then you can't sell it for more. So in this instance, you set your maximum bid at £30, knowing that the most amount of money that you would spend on this item with VAT and buyer's premium and postage and shipping is £55. Now, if you want to be extra careful, you can also find out how much people are selling the non-working versions of the item for on eBay. Just to give you a worst case scenario, if it does come not working, then at the very least you can still recoup some of your money back. So from this we can see that if all goes to plan, you make £35 plus profit, so £35 being the minimum that you'll make, or the lowest amount that you'll make from a £55 spend. So £35 profit might not sound like a lot, but this is why I always try to emphasize in my last video, and I'm emphasizing again in this video, that you can start small and grow your business that way. So because you're the only person, well, I mean, like, I'm not too sure for everyone starting, but usually, at least in my case, I was the only person that was working on this, so I'm still the only person working on this now. So because the only costs are to myself and buying the item, and that's really it. There's maybe, you know, if you factor in boxes, but again, you can use boxes around the house if you have any, tape, but tape isn't too expensive, scissors, and then that's really about it. Maybe a printer just to print out sticky labels, but again, you can use postage services where you can print out sticky labels at the shop, no charge for that again. So, and then maybe, you know, I mean, you might say, okay, then what about fuel cost if you have to take the item to shop to ship? But if you choose ones close enough, you can usually walk them down anyway. That's what I usually do. So because at the expenses are quite low, so a lot of the money that you're making will mainly just be profit, because you won't really have much else to spend the money on unless you want to pay yourself some money, which is absolutely fine. But that's usually about it. So you can then put that back into the business, or £10, or put £10 back in along with the £55 that you're going to put back in, with that £55 being what you'd spend on the original item. So that's something that I've always tried to do, which is anything, so whenever I buy an item, sell it, you know, if I buy one like this one, £50, sold it for, let's say, you know, £90, made £35 profit, then what I would do is take that £55, put that back into the business, so I can use that to buy another item and do it again. £35 I take out, put that as profit into something else, or put £10 back from that £35 along with the £55. Now I have £65 to play with, so I have a little bit more money to play. Maybe I can go a little bit higher, buy an even more expensive item, sell it for a little bit more, that kind of thing. And then from there, you can then just keep going, slowly building, not having to use your own money now, because now the business is now generating its own money. Like I said, the expenses are low if you're just working by yourself. So because all the money that's going back into the business is just going back into buying items to sell again, and so on and so on. So you can build slowly, and doing safer buying and selling than buying something for £500 and then struggling to sell it. And by doing it this way, it also makes it easier to have the financial capital to take a hit or two if you end up selling at a loss, because it's a lot better to, for example, buy something for £50 and then sell it for £40, making a loss of £10, which is not too difficult of a loss to take. If you need to supplement your business back again with £10, you can, rather than buying something for £500 and then selling it for £400 and then making a loss of £100, which then now you have to put £100 back into your business if you want to keep it going back to the level that it was at before. Makes it a lot more difficult. So that's why I always say, especially when starting out, start out small, because it's a lot easier to take those hits. And then, you know, as long as you make sure that you've got your own money, a little bit of your own money put aside in case you need to top up again, or in case you need to, I don't know, pay for a refund or something along those lines. So this is also why I believe that you can start reselling as a side hustle without having crazy amounts of capital to begin with. As long as you're happy with small wins in the beginning, like I said, maybe £30, £10, £20, and then slowly just building it up over time. So it won't make you rich, you know, quickly. It won't even make you like loads of money within a year probably. But it's just building it up slowly and being able to sort of have your own thing going on the side, alongside, you know, you working full time. It's something that doesn't take up a ridiculous amount of time. It might not be the most interesting thing, because a lot of it is just you buy something, you get it home, you test it out, then you take pictures of it, and then you put it online. You got to put a description and everything else. So there is some involved work with it, But once that's all done, you just leave it, and then maybe you promote it every now and again. You might pay for promotions on eBay, which they'll take the money out of whatever money that you make, that kind of thing. But for the most part, you just leave it after that. So it's not the most exciting or most interesting thing that you can be doing, but like I say, it's something that you can start small with, maybe 50 to 100 pounds to start with, and then just slowly build it from there. Now, there's never a guarantee that you'll make money from it, so you can start with £50 and then still make a loss. But at least, even if you make a loss, like even if you sell it for less money, at least you've still got some money that you can carry on again and sort of keep practicing. So that's why I say you can start small with, you know, £50, £40, £30, depending, like if you're lucky enough to find something, you know, that doesn't go over £30, which has happened and which can happen. And then you can start small and then slowly just build it from there. And then you can sort of take those hits and then just keep practicing, because I think that's the main thing with this, is that it takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of learning, it takes a lot of, you know, taking those losses and then figuring out how to sort of turn them into wins later on. You know, you'll get a couple of wins as well in the beginning. It's just sort of just learning and practicing, basically. So taking all of this into account, with online auction buying, from what I've seen, it's more of a patience game, at least from my own personal experience anyway, especially if you're buying to resell. So by knowing your maximum amount of what you're willing to spend and your maximum bid, and making sure that you don't go over that amount, it means if someone outbids you, then you're more okay to just bow out and just accept, okay, this has gone higher than what I'm willing to pay for, so it's fine. It's better to pass up on a particular item that has become too pricey and then it's become too risky than taking a loss on that item. So you'll be able to find good items again in the future. So don't let FOMO ruin your profits, basically. So this was a breakdown of the process that I would usually use when looking for items to buy and sell. Again, this is my method that works for me, and I cannot guarantee that it will always work for anyone else, but it might help you to sort of figure things out for yourself and make a start and everything. You can use this as a guide to just sort of just help get you started, because that's the main goal of this channel. That's the main goal of what we do here, is to just try and just help people to start their side hustle dreams, you know, turn them from dreams into reality by start doing the thing that you want to start doing, by taking our videos just as guides, just to help you get started. Now, there's still a lot more that goes into the reselling process that I haven't gone through in this video, but I'm more than happy to make another video sort of just going specifically through that, if that seems beneficial and if people would want to see that. But I didn't want this video to go on for too long just talking about the processes. So thank you everyone for sticking with me up to this point. I know it's been a long one, but I just wanted to just sort of just have a good video here and go through the white books and also go through the reselling process, just to give you an idea of the process that I use when it comes to buying things. So as I said before, we'll do our quick recap, going over some of the important points I was talking about in the video. So when it comes to looking for items to buy and sell, make sure to look at different places to source your items from Facebook Marketplace to auctions, maybe even charity shops, you know, just, or like even eBay itself. Sometimes you can find good deals on there. So just look at different places and then try and see if you can find some diamonds in the rough. Sometimes you can find something for free on Facebook Marketplace and then you can sell that for profit, and then at that point, any profit that you make over £1 is a win. So do research into the item that you're buying. Make sure you've inspected it if you can, and know the potential risks involved with the item and your overall cost for the item as well. So check the retail value and the eBay value of the item to make sure that you know what the maximum that the retailer is selling the item for, what the maximum that people would basically pay for the item, what the lowest amount that people would pay for it, for example on eBay, and then sort of give yourself a middle ground to work with from there. So check eBay to see its popularity, see how often the item's been sold, when it was last sold, and the average amount that it's usually sold for, to give yourself a good idea of what your chances of selling the item is and how much you can potentially sell it for. And then compare this with the full cost of buying the item and know what your maximum spend is going to be for that item, so then you can maximize your potential profits. And then make sure to be patient. Don't feel the need to have to jump into every deal that you see just because it's there. You know, don't, like I said, don't let FOMO affect your profits. So with that, I hope you've all enjoyed the video. This video was pretty fun to make, even though it did go on for quite some time. So thank you for staying with me. And now I'll open the rest up to you. So what side hustles have you tried to do before? Have you tried to do reselling, and what kind of experience have you had with it? Are you an experienced reseller, or are you a newbie sort of trying to learn the ropes? Let's have a discussion in the comments, and talk below and help each other out. And until the next one, I hope you all keep growing and learning, striving hard to make your side hustle dreams into reality. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks.